Is hydrogen on its way to be a traded commodity? And what does that look like for spot prices? I'll dive into that topic and give my thoughts on today's Hydrogen Podcast.
So the big questions in the energy industry today are, how is hydrogen the primary driving force behind the evolution of energy? Where is capital being deployed for hydrogen projects globally? And where are the best investment opportunities for early adopters who recognize the importance of hydrogen? I will address the critical issues and give you the information you need to deploy capital. Those are the questions that will unlock the potential of hydrogen, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Paul Rodden, and welcome to the Hydrogen Podcast.
In an article in oilprice.com, Alan Mamizer writes, how hydrogen will trade in the commodity markets of the future. Transitioning hydrogen from its current deployment produced from hydrocarbons for local industrial use into a global green commodity is a huge task. A few projects now reaching FID usually involve unique two-party agreements or guaranteed offtake within development consortiums. The lack of globally accepted standards and the price risk of long-term contracts remains major hurdles holding many projects back. That the nascent industry appears stalled with few green hydrogen projects reaching finance and construction is largely due to these hurdles. Issues such as technology, infrastructure, shipping, and safety are widely thought to be not as critical. They will be resolved if and when the industry gains momentum. Instead, the current discussion about hydrogen is more and more about price risk embedded in the long-term offtake contracts that financiers require, and the related concern with standards and procedures to ensure green origin. The leading edge of thinking has come to focus on how to get new hydrogen markets going by lowering risk and creating clear regulatory regimes. The concerns are being combined in efforts to create new financial markets for exchange of green hydrogen and hydrogen-derived products. Initiatives in Europe and the Middle East anticipate the development of new commodity markets, much like the markets for natural gas, electricity, and other widely traded forms of energy. Such markets will allow trading of standard contracts with related certificates or guarantees of origin to ensure low carbon sourcing. They will work off benchmark prices and price discovery based on supply and demand fundamentals with forward positions and hedging that mitigates risk. In a quote from Jan Heitzman, CEO for Zero Emission Traders Alliance, or Zeta, trading sustainable energy products to reduce carbon will cover a wide range, from sustainable fuels to green hydrogen, green electricity, green products of any sort. He also says, the market for these fuels at this point in time is embryonic, but we are working on market ideas and the mechanics that we have discovered to build these new markets. Heitzman, an energy market specialist, has held various executive functions with the European Federation of Energy Traders and the European Energy Exchange. He recently relocated to Dubai to launch Zeta in the Middle East. He also says, I'm confident this region will become a major center for production and export of the new green fuels, but only markets can accelerate reaching the net zero goals. He also says, I see all the pieces coming into place to begin building regional markets for these new sources of energy. He and others took the high liquidity markets for major energy commodities, as well as the now well-established instruments of sustainable commodities trade, including carbon credits and renewable energy certificates in the power sector. These are traded on major exchanges such as the International Exchange operating in Amsterdam, which handles trade of the benchmark TTF natural gas futures and options, as well as the EU carbon allowances used in the EU's ETS. In the renewable power sector, guarantees of origin and renewable energy certificates, or RECs, are traded over the counter on exchanges in North America and Europe. These established markets serve as examples for European advocates of new markets to trade sustainable commodities. Market experts are now developing the top-level financial architecture and tools for future commodity trading, even as work on the port and pipeline infrastructure continues. Last month, the first green hydrogen certificate was symbolically handed out during an onshore test event at Port of Rotterdam, awarded to Poseidon, a Dutch initiative in collaboration with industry partners that plans to produce green hydrogen via electrolysis on a production platform in the North Sea. The certificate, representing 1 megawatt hour of hydrogen energy, was delivered by the Dutch certifying agency Verdeser and by High Exchange. a Utrecht-based initiative that is developing a platform for hydrogen trade in the main Dutch pipeline infrastructure. It is supported by the natural gas transport company GasUnie, major ports, and companies. In a quote from project director Bert den Uden, High Exchange is an initiative to create new exchange products for hydrogen, saying we want to kickstart hydrogen markets. Under current Dutch rules, hydrogen and the certificates that guarantee it is derived from low carbon sources can be traded separately, an arrangement that market advocates for. However, European rules coming into force will require the physical commodity and the green certificate to be bundled. The EU's Renewable Energy Directive 3, or RED 3, will provide the main guiding regulations, replacing, to a large extent, the national schemes. Again, according to Den Uden, Europe wants to make sure the green hydrogen coming from an electrolyzer is truly green. But they might create rules which by market parties are seen as complicated. For instance, RED 3 rules require correlation, that electricity flows into an electrolyzer at the same moment it comes from a wind farm. These rules don't exist currently, but will exist in the European framework. Again, according to Den Uden, we would welcome simplification. A similar effort in neighboring Belgium by Hybex, a project to study the future market for hydrogen in the Belgium pipeline network. Partners include energy infrastructure groups Fluxys, strategic consultancy Hynesio, and the Port of Antwerp-Bruges Authority. Hybex is pilot testing a hydrogen commodity trading hub in this infrastructure, studying the required certification requirements for a national hydrogen network. In a quote from Anton Geers, who is the sustainable transition expert at the Port of Antwerp-Bruges, Hybex will prepare the ground for an exchange platform that aims to offer all relevant hydrogen commodity, certificate, and balancing products on a market exchange. Also saying the product offering is expected to progressively grow in a maturing hydrogen market. Trade of the physical commodity and associated contracts and certificates will extend beyond Belgium as its ports and pipelines connect European buyers to exporters worldwide. These include, for example, Namibian producers exporting into northwestern Europe through the Port of Antwerp-Bruges. The European markets will accommodate guarantee of origin certificates for voluntary schemes, GOs, as well as for compliance markets that must meet requirements for renewable fuels of non-biological origin, or RFNBO, according to the RED 3 directives. An important certification scheme is the Certify Hydrogen Certification, created at the request of the European Commission, which aims at facilitating the creation of an EU-wide structure of GOs. Project developers worldwide are watching the emerging European markets and standards for green hydrogen carefully, as their production processes must allow certification according to these standards if they intend to export to Europe. In many cases, their projects will not gain financing without such regulatory certainty. Another significant platform for sustainable commodities trading is now taking root in the Middle East, which promises to be a major producer of green hydrogen, ammonia, e-fuels, and other new forms of low-carbon and carbon-free energy. The Zero Emissions Traders Alliance, or ZETA, wants to foster the development of a clean energy market in the region. In a quote from Timur Zaman, who is an executive advisor to the group, we'll begin with secondary trading of the voluntary carbon offsets certificates, then create and develop certificates of guarantee of origin for hydrogen and ammonia. Zaman is head of energy affairs at ENOA, the clean energy subsidiary of the Saudi megaproject NEOM. Prior to joining NEOM, he was based in the UK, where he traded compliance-driven carbon emission certificates under the EU and UK emissions trading schemes, as well as voluntary GO certificates in the power sector. Saudi Arabia's Regional Voluntary Carbon Market Company, or RVCMC, founded in 2022, has hosted 2 large carbon offset auctions, opening the possibility of further clean energy commodities trading in the kingdom. Again, according to Zaman, from a thought leadership and ZETA perspective, these primary auctions are an excellent start. We can now look at the next step, which is to promote liquidity around secondary trading of these carbon offset certificates. ZETA also intends to collaborate with stakeholders in Saudi Arabia and internationally to develop certificates that guarantee the origin of carbon-free fuels. Such certificates would go beyond a simple tracking and booking tool to ensure fungibility and tradability in key markets of the EU and Asia. The group will also develop pricing benchmarks similar to the LNG spot price benchmark to create reliable reference points for clean commodities, including hydrogen, ammonia, and e-fuels. He also says, we're working on very tangible deliverables now, promoting liquidity in secondary carbon offsets, facilitating the development of geocertificates, a pricing index, and so forth. Also saying, then a whole new ecosystem of derivatives and optimization will naturally emerge. The work of these market advocates is in the early stages, but it could advance quickly to help accelerate the rise of a global commodity market for green hydrogen. Then energy traders may well see Saudi green ammonia becoming a global benchmark, up on the board with the likes of Brent, Dutch TTF, and other famous ones. Okay, so an amazing in-depth look at the potential for establishing a global benchmark for hydrogen commodity trading. Now, if everything is to go through as stated in this article, would we only see a spot price for electrolytic hydrogen from renewables with the assurance that the 3 pillars established in Europe have been verified? Or will they look at a full life cycle carbon intensity to set the statute for the commodity pricing? Because something will have to level set the hydrogen. Here's what I mean. Since various methods of generating hydrogen exist, and even though a spot price shouldn't account for how the molecule was created, there are those out there who will only work with green hydrogen. So unlike Brent and Henry Hub, which deal with crude oil and natural gas, will we see spot prices for the different technologies, i.e. a spot price for blue, a green spot price, and so on? I certainly hope not, but it's starting to sound like we'll find out soon enough. All right, that's it for me, everyone. If you have a second, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a good review on whatever platform it is that you listen to. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, whatever it is. That would be a tremendous help to the show. And as always, if you ever have any feedback, you're welcome to email me directly at info@thehydrogenpodcast.com. So until next time, keep your eyes up and honor one another.
Hey, this is Paul. I hope you liked this podcast. If you did and want to hear more, I'd appreciate it if you would either subscribe to this channel on YouTube or connect with your favorite platform through my website at www.thehydrogenpodcast.com. Thanks for listening. I very much appreciate it. Have a great day.